what are these properties, touch and charge and all that. And I think there is not much mention of nuclear forces and other things in Jaina literature. But anyway, that is something which we have to look forward to do in the future. At this point of time, I would like to invite Professor Shishir Roy. Professor Shishir Roy is associated with the National Institute of Advanced Studies at Indian Institute of Science, campus Bangalore. He is an authority on quantum physics, cosmology, brain function, and consciousness. So Professor Kachara has mentioned at the end that now we have to connect it to consciousness. So I think this is the right time to request Professor Roy to talk about consciousness. He has written many books, and he gave me some time ago a book called Demystifying Akash, and I recommend it very heavily to everybody. It is very clearly and lucidly written on various Vedantic and Indian concepts of Akash. That is the quantum vacuum related to that. Now, he has been, before joining the National Institute of Advanced Studies, he was a professor at Indian Statistical Institute and served as distinguished visiting professor in various American and European universities. And he is currently T.V. Raman Pai Chair. So we are very fortunate to have such a distinguished speaker here, and I request Professor Roy to give his talk.
Good afternoon, everybody, and many thanks to Professor Narendra Bhandari. As he told you, I am basically a quantum physicist, so my approach is a little bit different from other speakers. We physicists are doing theoretical works as well as some experimentations. And during that process, we are facing a lot of philosophical problems or epistemological problems. So if you ask me why I am here in Jaina Philosophy International Conference and Jaina Philosophy and Modern Science, the issue is that it seems there are some convergence or some parallels between the findings of modern science. No, this is all right. And in other schools of philosophy like Buddhist, Vedantic, but I think the issue which I am going to tell, it is more similar to Jaina philosophy. And you know that many times physicists, they come to philosophers and have a long discussions. Like I mentioned, the very famous physicist, Heisenberg, who discovered uncertainty principles. After discovery of uncertainty principles, he was feeling very discomfort. And then he came to India and met Nobel laureate poet Tagore, and he went to Shantiniketan to meet Tagore. And after a long discussions with Tagore, he told, now I feel comfort. So the physicist, or in general the scientists, they face sometimes some issues or conceptual problem. For that, they need to go to philosophers. So we need philosophers and different philosophical schools. So before going into details of my talk or the content, I mean, apparently this name, it's very difficult to convey because there is a weird concept called quantum entanglement and philosophy of relations. I mean, philosophy of relations is very well-known subject to many Indian schools of philosophy. So before going into that, I can tell you a story. This, in March 2015, there was a headline news in New York Times. And in New York Times, the headline was that Rashomon effect was found in the experiments of modern physics. So what is Rashomon effect? I mean, the very famous film director, Akira Kurosawa from Japan, he made this film, Rashomon, where the main idea was that, main story is that you know, one samurai, he was murdered or killed, and people or police tried to arrest or police tried to find the reason behind his murder. So they interrogated many people, and the different people, they gave their versions in different ways. So the problem was, what is the reality? And the question is that, the film has a more deeper message, that is there true story or is your belief in a definite objective observer independent reality an illusion? And these very questions was raised in the experiments of quantum physics in 2015. It was published by Nature. And this is related, they called it a Rashomon effect, whether there exists an observer independent reality or there is kind of Rashomon effect in nature itself or created by experiments. So in the beginning, I am going to tell you what is this weird concept of quantum entanglement. Why I am telling weird? Because it is not compatible with our ideas of everyday experience. So let me, this is the famous thought experiment or Gedanken experiments proposed by Einstein, Podolsky, and Rogens in 1935. It is known as EPR paradox. And what is the paradox? And what happened? What kind of experiments they proposed? Here, they took two electrons. Electrons have charges, negative charges. They have a definite mass, and they had certain other attributes. We call it spin. I can't tell you, if you ask as a physicist, I can't give you any kind of metaphor. Only very crudely speaking, I can give a metaphor like a top is moving. So if top is moving, there is angular momentum in the up directions or down directions. You can relate with that as a spin, but as a physicist strictly, I cannot say because spin is very abstract concept. Okay. So these two electrons, with a certain experiments, they form a particular state called singlet state. What is that singlet state? The two electrons, one is in the up directions in positive direction, another in the down directions. And this is very subtle issue which has definite connection with joiner philosophy. I will come to that within few minutes. So one state is a joint state is formed out of these two electrons. And now you are separating the electrons from the opposite direction. Say one is E1, another is E2. Now what happens? If you try to measure the attributes of electrons here on this side, if it is on the plus half directions, then you can tell immediately what will be the spin of this electron E2. Even if there one end of the universe one is, and if there is another end of the universe. And this experiment was done in Switzerland under the Geneva Lake, and it is found even with the experiments where these two electrons are away up to 12 kilometers. Even that, they have kind of instantaneous effect. You want to measure something here, instantaneously, it will send information here. So what's the problem? Problem is that if it is instantaneous propagation of information from E1 to E2, then the speed of the propagation of information will be infinite because it is instantaneous. At the same time it happens. But in modern physics, because of Einstein's proposal of special theory of relativity, the propagation speed of the information is limited by speed of light, which is 3 into 10 to the power 10 centimeter per second. So what's the problem? If the information propagates from here to here, it means the speed of information propagation will be infinite. If it is infinite, then it breaks causality principles. What is causality principle? That cause and effect, they have a relations, and the propagations of the disturbance from cause to effect will be limited by speed of light. And if there is violation of causality, then whole physics breaks down, because principle of causality is one of the pillars of modern physics or modern science. So what is the philosophical problems comes out of this? So this is a kind of wholeness between E1 and E2 from which, knowing the whole, you can get the knowledge of the parts, E1 and E2. Say, in philosophical terms, let us call these two objects, E1, E2, as relata. In singular, relatum, and plural is relata. And this, the relations between E1 and E2, in quantum mechanics, we say non-local relations or entanglement. So what is the philosophical issue? Philosophical issue is that this relation, which is not causal, which go against modern physics. But these entities are real, E1 and E2, two electrons. This is experimentally you can do it. So you have a relation which is not understandable within the structure of physics, but this E1 and E2, this relata, they are real. So the issue is whether relation is real equally that those of relata, or relation is a mental construct. So if relation is mental construct, then we physicists we have a problem. Can we do some experiments where we can say that no, this entanglement or this non-local correlations can be experimentally verified? If that is verified, then this relation and relata are equally real. And there lies the whole philosophical issues in different schools of philosophy in India. And in reality, few years before, one experiment was done on Europe as well as in USA called quantum teleportations. What is meant by quantum teleportations? I mean, this has also, different versions of our yogic experiences. Like you want to send something from here to a very distant place. You don't need to send the physical body of the object. You just send the forms. So forms can be teleported from one place to another. Like a yogi, he can put his body here, but he can go, say, right now to United States. So this is kind of teleportation. And that teleportation is dependent on this concept of quantum teleportations, a quantum entanglement. So quantum entanglement or non-local relation is real, and the two objects or relata are real. So the issue is we have a relation between two entities in the quantum world which are real, and the relation we are constructing or exist in the quantum world that is also real. Question is whether the relation is equally real of the relata. And there lies the whole problem. Now I am going to tell you what the Indian philosophers, they discussed many, many centuries before. Before that, let me tell you what is meant by a relation. A relation connects two entities. I mean, connects one entity with other entity. The basic characteristic of a relation that is rests on two entities. Symbolically speaking, say let A and B are two objects, and capital R is a relations. So we can think of a relations which connects A and B. And relation, the next question, is relation real? No is the answer by idealist, and yes is the response from realists. Here we mean idealism as the entire who says that entire world is creation of human mind, and show relation is a mental construct. The proponents of this view are Buddhist Advaitins, Nyaya Vaisheshika, Mimamsaks, and other pluralists are the proponents of realist view. And we mean idealism by the fact entire world of experience are creation of mind, and the relation is also creation of mind. Now, I'm not going to discuss with the Western perspective, but debate has been started in Western world regarding the reality of relations and relata. Now, the relation and what are the characteristics? If we say that quantum entanglement or the relation between two electrons is a kind of relations, what are its properties or characteristics? The first one, it is say that this kind of relation, as I told you, is not causal because the information propagation speed is more than speed of light. Hence, causality breaks down. And second one, it is beyond space-time description. And third one, the relation or the whole contains the information of the parts, not the reverse way. And the relation has an intrinsic property. And some quantum entities can be entangled through quantum theory. Now the relation is acausal and beyond space-time description. The issue is it a mental construct? And let me go to a Buddhist view, because we don't have much time. There is a famous Buddhist logician scholar, is Dharmakirti. Dharmakirti wrote a very interesting book, name is Sambandha Pariksha, or Philosophy of Relations. And after writing of the book of the Sambandha Pariksha, a lot of debate came up among the Noyaics, Vedantin, Buddhist, and of course, lately, Jaina. So, what is the starting point of the debate and Dharmakirti? Debate is that, according to Buddhist philosophy, I mean, even in this conference, people are saying that concept of Indrajnet, I mean, in this universe, every object is connected with other object. So they form a net. But there lies some conceptual issues which we should be careful when you compare subtle issues of physics and subtle issues of philosophy. What are the subtle issues? I can give you one example. Suppose you take atom. Atoms are independent entities. Buddhists, they agree. Jainas, they agree. So to me, it means that it might have some attributes. We speak in our language of physics that what are the attributes? And these attributes, they make the atoms or electrons or the entities to come closer and closer. And so that a kind of bulk state is formed. So here lies the trick in this kind of entangled state. Let me, because I don't have time, so what Dharmakirti, his view was that relation is a mental construct. But according to Prabhachandra and our interpretation, that relation is also real, and Dharmakirti made a kind of mistake. This type of mistakes we can understand in our language. Yeah. So what is the problem? When we take two electrons, make a composite state, like EPR experiment, then the electron has attribute called spin, and according to famous principle discovered by Pauli, who won Nobel Prize, he's one of the pillars of modern quantum theory, he proposed a principle according to which no two electrons can occupy the same state. I mean, if one electron has a spin one half and another is spin down, then they can be in the same state. So the electron or the relatum, they have a kind of propensity to be get together. And this is the crucial point. What Prabhachandra told, the manifoldness. Manifoldness means the spin state can be in any direction, x direction, y direction, z directions. And if one of the electron be in the z direction, another will be minus z direction. If that electron be plus x direction, other will be minus x directions. So this is the manifoldness in our terminology. And without that manifoldness, the Pauli exclusion, even Pauli in Nobel lecture, he expressed that my principle seems to be very mystic, but maybe physics will discover sometimes that how you can explain my principle from more fundamental concept. And now we can understand, maybe Pauli was here like a rishi, Indian rishi. He went to Germany and he took his, rebirth, and he had a deep insight that not only the quantum entities are independent, but they have a propensity to make a particular state. And there lies, the Jaina view, in that sense, they give more insights to understand this quantum entanglement. And quantum entanglement is equally real as the reality of the entities we called relator. So we differ from Dharmakirti's argument and taking the arguments from Prabhachandra, who is a proponent, famous Jaina scholars. So, okay, thank you, I don't have time.
I now invite Dr. Dev Kumar. He is a PhD and specialized in Jain philosophy and practice. And he is currently, he was consultant to World Bank earlier. And he has been teaching and doing research. And he